after almost a year of saying he didn't want to release, after a year of stalling, hedging, browbeating members of his own party last night, all of a sudden Trump reversed course completely. He wrote, as I said on Friday night to the fake news media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. I have some bad news. There's no we. It's just you, bro.
Donald Trump is a wreck right now, and he's losing all control at Mar-a-Lago. He's posting images of himself with the caption, Trumplicans. That's his new name for MAGA since MAGA has left him. He's calling himself Trumplicans. Donald Trump also announced via social media posts that he would be pardoning one of the biggest drug traffickers who was convicted in federal court because Donald Trump believes that the drug trafficker from Honduras, their former president, has been treated unfairly.
He showed the common man being fed through gears of the brutal, dehumanizing industrial age. He took on the American right wing of his day, its worst evils: hatred of immigrants, contempt for the truth, greed, and the abuse of power. We are fighting those same evils today.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
You know what's wild? While most celebrities just tweet angry messages about Trump, Jim Carrey literally picked up a paintbrush and spent 4 years turning his rage into art. And when that art hit Twitter, it didn't just go viral, it sparked a cultural movement that had Trump's own press secretary's father calling him a pathetic bully. We're talking about over 100 paintings, a full gallery exhibition in Los Angeles, and a political cartoon campaign so intense that Carrey eventually had to retire it just to reclaim his neurological bandwidth.
And I was right. Trump has been desperately trying to convince anyone who'll listen that Democrats are responsible for the shutdown and that it has nothing to do with him trying to hide the Epstein files. The gaslighting has reached a fever pitch as Trump cuts off the supply of food to children, families, senior citizens, etc. But Mike Johnson...
Donald Trump also announced that any executive order believed to be signed by former President Biden, Donald Trump says it's now void because of an auto pen. And he says that if Biden denies signing any executive order, we will charge Biden with perjury. We will prosecute him. What, are you going to prosecute him for perjury? What are you even talking about? Now, Donald Trump learned about the latest Gallup poll data that was just released today. The Gallup poll data shows that Trump has a 60% disapproval. Only 36% of Americans approve of Donald Trump. That is the lowest ever in the history of Donald Trump and the Gallup poll. Also, in addition to those posts that I just mentioned, Donald Trump continues to make posts referring to people by the R word. The R word, the derogatory word of persons with disabilities, the word I despise the most, and it's having significant impact.
And here's the kicker. His partner in this Trump destruction? None other than Jimmy Kimmel, the late-night host who turned a 2024 Oscar ceremony into Trump's personal nightmare with just 5 words. Isn't it past your jail time? Let me break down how these two became Trump's worst enemies through completely different weapons, one with a paintbrush, one with a microphone, and how their combined assault created some of the most memorable Trump takedowns in modern history. The birth of an artist's rage. It all started in 2016 when Trump won the presidency. While Hollywood was having collective meltdowns, Jim Carrey, the guy from The Mask and Dumb and Dumber, was dealing with his own existential crisis.
We're working hard to beat Trump at his own game. He's been posting these funny things like this, showing Trump as a baby, and it does seem to be getting under the president's skin.
He doesn't have what it takes, I tell you that. Slimy guy. He's a slimy one. Maybe that should be his nickname. Slimy Newscomb, right?
Donald Trump called Governor Walz of Minnesota the R word on a social media post. I don't even want to repeat it, but an Indiana Republican senator, says, you know what? This has consequences. He said that his second daughter has Down syndrome, and Trump, using the R word like that, convinced this lawmaker, Michael Boacek, to not vote for Donald Trump's attempt to gerrymander Indiana. This Indiana senator says, he's a Republican. He's like a MAGA guy. He's like, good luck, Donald, in the midterms. I'm done with you. So how is Trump responding to MAGA leaving, the lowest poll numbers ever? What's he doing right now? Well, he's sending out emails to his supporters. I guess he calls them Trumplicans now. And here's what he's saying. Do you love me? Do you love me? Take the poll. You're the reason that all of this is possible, and I wanted to make sure you knew how much I appreciate you. Do you love me? So we're going to be doing a Thanksgiving fundraising blitz today. Can you please give me some money? That's what Donald Trump is posting right there. Also, Donald Trump continued to sell stuff.
Sit in my room. Trump is toast.
I like that one. That's
Trump is toast. Yeah, man.
And so you just kind of digest the news of the
It's
day.
an affirmation.
I'm glad some good is coming out of this stuff. This is Robert Mueller.
Robert Mueller putting the squeeze on the president.
I want a little...
Just to relieve the stress. You know what I mean?
He'd been painting for years, mostly abstract stuff to heal from heartbreak. But when Trump took office, that paintbrush became a weapon. In 2017, Carrey started posting political cartoons on Twitter that were absolutely brutal. We're not talking gentle political satire here. These were visceral, disturbing, grotesque images that captured Trump as everything from the Wicked Witch of the West to a screaming monster tweaking his own nipple while eating ice cream. Yeah, that last one was actually pitched to the Smithsonian as Trump's official portrait. And Carrey was dead serious about this mission. He told interviewers, "It's not a choice to be doing the cartoons. I'm doing them because I can't just watch this nightmare unfold."
America, in the United Kingdom, across the globe. And we need to be clear, shamelessness is not and will never be a superpower.
Via email over this Thanksgiving weekend, he called it his special Black Friday deal. But when our investigators at the Midas Touch Network looked at the Black Friday deal, the deals were more expensive than if you just bought the products from the website. Let me explain. So he sends this email about a Trump MAGA ornament. He calls it the MAGA 4547 red hat ornament. And he goes, we're giving you the reduced price. It's just $37. Well, if you just go to the website itself, they're selling it for $30. Well, what about another email that Donald Trump said? He goes, he's sending his MAGA 2026 calendar for just $32. Well, if you just went to the website, you can buy it for $25. Everything Trump does is a fraud and a grift. Speaking about grifts, Eric Trump, here's what his post was today. So excited to announce that Trump vodka is available for pre-orders. Head over to trumpvodka.com to get your hands on the first bottles.
The man was creating these paintings almost daily, posting them with captions that read like battle cries. One showed Trump devouring immigrant babies with the caption, "If the Democrats would just stop the Mueller investigation, build a wall, declare me a god, and pass a special law allowing me to marry my hot daughter, I wouldn't have to devour these immigrant babies." Dark? Absolutely. Effective? You have no idea. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're exposing every receipts-filled Trump destruction, and you won't want to miss a single one. Carrey brings the art to Kimmel. On September 6, 2018, Jim Carrey walked onto Jimmy Kimmel's stage after disrupting Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court confirmation hearing on a dockless scooter, because of course he did. Wearing pajamas covered in golden lips, Carrey sat down to discuss his Trump artwork, and what he revealed was fascinating. Turns out, Carrey had been drawing political caricatures since he was a kid.
We have a president who started out when the country was together and had a wonderful leader, and he is tearing us limb from limb.
Well,
destroying every institution.
let's talk about this Donald Trump, even though we don't want to. Let's bring it on the panel for this.
He's a car salesman. He's a used
con
car
man,
salesman.
absolutely.
And he's, he didn't make America great again, but he did turn back the odometer. So who knows what the hell is wrong with us?
Cheers. They just can't help themselves. They have to grift each and every day, and it's never enough for them. They take and they take. It's why California Governor Gavin Newsom's nickname for them as these like invasive species is such a perfect way of framing them. It's what they are. They are invasive species. All right, let's take a look at Donald Trump's post where he says, I will hereby be voiding all of the orders signed by former President Biden. He goes, any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the auto pen, which was approximately 92% of them, is hereby terminated and no further force and effect is given to them. The auto pen is not allowed to be used if approval is not specifically given by the President of the United States. The radical left lunatics circling Biden around the beautiful Resolute desk in the Oval Office took the presidency away from him. I'm hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by crooked Joe Biden because the people who operated the auto pen did so illegally. Joe Biden was not involved in the auto pen process. And if he says he was, he will be brought up on charges of perjury. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Do we see how sick and deranged this lunatic is? Calling governors the R word, saying that you're going to prosecute the former president for perjury because you've created and concocted a auto pen conspiracy.
He told Kimmel about his grade school teacher, Mrs. Gervadis, who he'd draw getting attacked and missiled and axes in her head. And you know what? She saved every single drawing and sent them back to him after he got famous. Carrey joked, she saw the divine spark, Jimmy. She knew what was going to happen in the world. Kimmel showed some of Carrey's recent Trump paintings, and the audience went wild. Because these weren't just cartoons, they were documentation of Trump's corruption rendered in vivid color. Colin Kaepernick kneeling, John McCain's tribute, and Trump, always Trump, depicted as the monster Carrey believed he was. When Kimmel asked about his new show, Kidding, Carrey connected it all back to Trump. The show was about a Mr. Rogers-like character trying to maintain authenticity in a world gone mad. Mr. Rogers would come out on a show like this and he would be so absolutely authentic that you can't find the irony. Carrey explained, we haven't lost it. Trump can't take it away from us. It will always be there.
It wasn't a costume. Turns out it was a wealthy donor. It came straight from Rikers Island to thank Trump for the pardon. You know, throwing a party at your private golf club where the theme is rich white people, hours before millions of Americans are set to lose their food assistance, might be the Trumpiest Trump move of all time. It felt like the last big bash before the Epstein files come out. The great Fatsby weighed in on the SNAP funding fiasco on his Twitter platform, Truth Social. He wrote, I do not want Americans to go hungry just because the radical Democrats refuse to do the right thing and reopen the government.
Because you are suffering clear physical and mental issues while regardless of that, your poll numbers are dropping, your regime is collapsing, the people despise you. Is what's going on right here. So then Donald Trump made a post where he's again continuing to try to interfere in the elections in Honduras. He hates the current leader, Xiomara Castro, and her predecessor, and the person who from her party who's running. Donald Trump wants this guy Tito Asfura to win so that Donald Trump can control what's happening in Honduras. And in this message where Donald Trump says, if you don't vote for Tito, that's the guy Trump wants in because he'd be a MAGA puppet. If you don't vote Tito, Trump says that he's going to hurt the country of Honduras. And then he goes on to say that he's granting a full and complete pardon to the former president, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who has been, according to many people, Donald Trump says, someone I greatly respect and treated very harshly and unfairly. According to people that I respect, he's been treated harshly and unfairly. This cannot be allowed to happen, especially now, after Tito Asfura wins the election, when Honduras will be on its way to great political and financial success. Vote for Tito Asfura for president, and congratulations to Juan Orlando Hernandez on your upcoming pardon. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, just to be very clear, Juan Orlando Hernandez and his brother are effectively serving life sentences, 45-year sentences in U.S. prisons.
The used car salesman that broke the internet. The very next night, September 7th, 2018, Carrey appeared on Bill Maher's Real Time, And that's where he delivered the line that's still going viral in 2025. Wearing brand new Nike sneakers in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick, Carrey didn't hold back. We have a president who started out when the country was together, and we had a wonderful leader, and he is tearing us limb from limb, destroying every institution in this precious country, Carrey said. Then Maher asked him to characterize Trump directly. Carrey's response? He's a car salesman. He's a used car salesman. He didn't make America great again, but he did turn back the odometer.
This house was not taken care of the way it was supposed to be. I take very good care of property. You'll notice the floors downstairs. I paid for them. Marble, the most beautiful marble you've ever seen. The white floors down in the palm room. The most beautiful floors, the most beautiful lights and chandeliers. And now it's starting to gleam like it should. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world, I think.
Our Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, said if the shutdown doesn't get resolved in the next week, we will see, quote, mass chaos, mass flight delays, and mass cancellations just in time for the holidays. And I'll tell you something, I remember the very first time I saw Sean Duffy on Real World Boston. He was a contestant on that show. And I said to myself, you know what, someday that kid's going to shut down all of our nation's airports. And I was right. And Trump has been desperately trying to convince anyone who'll listen that Democrats are responsible for the shutdown and that it has nothing to do with him trying to hide the Epstein files. The gaslighting has reached a fever pitch as Trump cuts off the supply of food to children, families, senior citizens, etc. But Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, wants you to know, just because they're cutting off your food and want to cut off your health insurance, that doesn't mean they don't care.
They were extradited to the U.S. They were charged and prosecuted in the United States for basically being part of the conspiracy of the largest drug trafficking ring in all time. They worked closely with El Chapo and the Sinaloa cartel and other cartels to use their official position leading Honduras, and even before that, when he was a leader in government, but to use their position as the president of Honduras to provide quarter, aid, support, logistics to the Sinaloa cartel. Tens of billions, potentially in excess of $100 billion of cocaine and other drugs moved into the United States. Compelling testimony at trial demonstrated all of this. And this is the guy that Donald Trump's supporting and pardoning, while Donald Trump orders airstrikes off the coast of Venezuela and Colombia, likely killing a lot of innocent fishermen. And even if you were to say that the individuals were drug dealers, you're talking about the mules. You're talking about the lowest level of the people.
The studio audience erupted. That clip has resurfaced constantly, most recently in September 2025, when it went viral again, with fans commenting, "He better not take Jim Carrey from us." The metaphor was perfect. Trump is the sleazy dealer selling you a lemon while insisting it's pristine. Everyone's met that guy. Everyone knows that scam. But Carrey also showed compassion for Trump's supporters, saying, "We've got to get back to a place where we realize that a vote is not who you are. I could break bread with anybody who voted for Trump. We could find some common ground and a reason to love each other. Just stop doing stupid shit." The Sarah Huckabee Sanders painting that started a war March 17th, 2018. Carrey posts a painting of an angry, distorted woman with the caption, "This is the portrait of a so-called Christian whose only purpose in life is to lie for the wicked."
Man, if you have nothing to hide, why even have the vote? Why not just have the Department of Justice release the files now? After 10 months of fighting tooth and nail, doing everything he could to keep those files secret, he's now asking for a full release, which is what got all these guys in trouble in the first place. So his plan now is hurry up and release the files so I can start saying they're fake. Last week, he tried a last-minute arm twist to get Republicans like Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace to back off this Epstein stuff. Lauren Boebert was even summoned to the Situation Room.
While you're letting out the leaders of cartel, you're giving them pardons? Are you kidding me? And we know that a lot of those killings off the coast of Venezuela and Colombia were likely of innocent people. And regardless, there's something called process. And we don't just kill human beings, or at least we didn't in the United States before this fascist regime took over. And now one of the things that we're learning with a exclusive scoop by the Washington Post is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, who unlawfully refers to himself as the Secretary of War, ordered on the first Caribbean boat strike that everybody be killed no matter what happens to them. He ordered SEAL Team 6 to blow up the boats. And then when there were survivors, he ordered SEAL Team 6 to go back and to blow up the survivors. The survivors were holding on for dear life on parts of the boat. They could have been rescued. And Hegseth said, kill him now.
Monstrous. He didn't name names. He didn't have to. Everyone immediately recognized Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Trump's White House press secretary, who'd spent months lying to the American people from that podium. The backlash was instant. Her father, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, went nuclear on Twitter. Pathetic bully, sexist, hater, bigot, and Christophobe at Jim Carrey attacks at Pressec for her faith. Carrey stayed silent for days as the outrage built.
I woke up this morning, I'm in bed, my wife comes out of the bathroom, she's got her phone, she goes, Trump tweeted you should be fired again. I was like, oh. And then I went downstairs and made bagels for the kids. It's like, late last night, the Angry Orange posted, why does ABC Fake News keep Jimmy Kimmel, a man with no talent and very poor television ratings, on the air? Why do the TV syndicates put up with it? Also, totally biased coverage. Get the bum off the air. I'm the bum. And he posted this, I think this is interesting, at 12:49 a.m., 11 minutes after the show ended on the East Coast, which is nice. He watches us live. Hi, Mr. President. How are you? Thanks for watching us on TV instead of on YouTube. We appreciate that, and I'll tell you, it's viewers like you who keep us on the air, ironically.
And became one of Hollywood's most visible Trump critics. He called Trump a used car salesman on national television and made it stick. He painted Sarah Huckabee Sanders' essence and refused to apologize. He spent 4 years turning outrage into art. Kimmel, meanwhile, turned a single Oscars moment into Trump's obsession, proving that the former president's thinnest skin is reserved for comedians who make America laugh at him. That jail time joke lives rent-free in Trump's head, and he'll probably still be ranting about it in 2028. Together, they prove that resistance takes many forms. Sometimes it's a painting, sometimes it's a punchline, but when done right, both leave permanent scars on the dictator who thought he was untouchable. Trump tried to silence Carrey through backlash and Kimmel through constant attacks. He failed, because art and comedy are weapons that authoritarians can never fully defeat. And in America's fight against Trump's corruption, Jim Carrey and Jimmy Kimmel proved that the pen and the paintbrush really are mightier than the tyrant.